Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and welcome to a new week, a new Monday. New opportunities, of course, inbound in this market, and plenty to talk about. Actually, I do want to follow up on yesterday's short-term time frame analysis. More importantly, follow up from last week's closures, of which we do have clarity on the spot price action situation now. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best of the best and the happiest of the happiest. Let's go look at the Krown Chain application over here, which can be found at app.krownchain.net. And what do we see? We see a lot of the same stuff that we saw yesterday, actually. 2.5 billion on the open interest read, which, again, we don't really have a range kind of correlated with that, but we are looking for just overall moves to the upside and how the interaction between open interest relates to that. If open interest starts to fall off, perhaps that is a nice little warning sign that the current run to the upside is waning a bit in strength. Or if we do start to see more open interest being added onto positions as price action goes up in this case, then the opposite would be true in the sense that probably be looking for a little bit more. So with that in mind, Bitcoin dominance still hanging around the 61% region, technically up just a smidgen from yesterday to today, but realistically, we're still looking for major massive moves off that region over the next few months and more. And fear and greed index also coming down one whole point from a 76 to a 75. And let's go check out the data tab right here and see what we got going on as the futures premium over spot price action continues to actually increase here, which is very interesting. Again, market makers kind of pricing this in right now, which does suggest that they are looking for some more upside. Looking at the funny rates over here, what do we see? We see pretty much all kind of hanging around that low 0.01% region, except for especially for all of the major exchanges. We got OKX, Bybit, BitMEX, and Binance, all kind of within that region. FTX and FEMEX, the outliers here, but not really all that by all that much. 0.03% is really nothing, and still not a major consideration. So we don't see any parrots in the coal mine right now. So with that said, let's go over here and check out the actual price action charts themselves. Do we want to start off with the weekly or the lower term time frames? Let's start off with the weekly, because that's probably where more of the fun stuff is right now, seeing as we just got the weekly close yesterday. And I'm actually gonna go over here to my secondary charts. Or should I start there? Should I start here? You know what? Let's just make it simple as simple gets, I suppose. Looking at the secondary charts right here, what do you know? What happened yesterday? What was confirmed? What actually happened that we haven't done in over a year, I believe it is, and that is closing a weekly dildo above the topside Challenger band. In this case, our closing price $13,039 and 9 cents, by the way, and that's about $200 over the topside Challenger band at 12,850-ish region. Of which the last time that we've actually done something similar to this is back on over here in 2019, where Bitcoin closed that first girthy green dildo above the topside Challenger band, and then boom, off to the races, all the way from about 5,000 to 14,000 on that current run. And the way that I interpret this right now is that as long as Bitcoin is closing weeklies above the topside Challenger band, we are in the process, or not we, because it's like not you and I moving, like we're people, but this inanimate object over here, this magic internet money, is in the process of trending to the upside. So I will not be willing to call like a major top on this run until we see at the very least a weekly closure below the topside Challenger band. In this case, it's going to be rising up quite aggressively from last week's closure from about 12.8, now sitting at 13.2. So Bitcoin will have to close above 13.2 this coming week in order to maintain this posturing. And essentially what I'm looking at right now is for the continuation essentially. So that does kind of set the tone. Also following up on the DMI plus the DMI call and the ADX call. Yes, we do see that kind of get more and more aggressive right here. No, that's MACD. Hey, get out of my face, MACD. There we go. DMI plus getting more and more dominant as ADX strengthens over time. Good. Again, the last time that we've seen something similar to this was back in March 2019 as well. DMI plus getting above the threshold, ADX strengthening right here. And do we have any other examples of where this has been true? Actually, yeah, this one right here where DMI plus gets dominant actually just for a very small portion of time in January of 2020 on that run from, I believe it was, about 7,000 to 10,500. So a $3,000 run right there, even though this signal, wasn't all that much to begin with, but the ADX strengthening at the same time. We can go back in the annals of history a little bit more and see this run in actually 2016, October 2016, which is a very interesting date, by the way, because that was actually the last election or around last election, because October, November is election time, and 4 years ago was 2016. So, looking at that as well, that did kind of spur on that last bull run, not the election, obviously. I just think it's a little bit interesting that the timing kind of matches up with that. Obviously, I don't think that that's like a huge deal. If anything, election time usually going to be sideways and a little bit of down coming into it in traditional markets. In Bitcoin land, just sideways really is what we've seen over the last couple times. But I don't even look for that to kind of mark off as anything resembling a trend. It's just just an interesting observation. But yeah, same thing going on over here as well. DMI plus gets dominant right here, and then boom, off to the fucking races. I mean, this one obviously going on for the next couple years, all the way to $20,000. So a little bit of an outlier right there, to be fair. But you do see that on the weekly, this does have some pretty powerful implications alongside weekly MACD, also getting a bullish cross here, increasing the histogram, and more importantly, this is coming along the side of breaking a multi-year horizontal resistance coming in at around January 2018 at $12,000, we'll call it, and also closing above the top side trend band. So not only are we're closing above these more important regions, but we're all seeing momentum shift on to the upside. And on top of that, DMI is also further confirming the actual directional momentum. So in this case, everything that I'm looking at right now does say further continuation to the upside, very likely on a weekly schedule. Now, does that mean that we just continue onwards and upwards like this exact moment? No, that's what the lower time frames are for. And let's go check it out. And by the way, before we even get into that, let's just let's further kind of beat this dead horse to death on the weekly right here. And realistically, what is also incredibly important to know about this last week's closure is Bitcoin's just done something very obviously out of character for the past 3 years, which is close a girthy, powerful, massive, strong, girthy green dildo above this blue box territory right here, the same area that Bitcoin's been getting rejected at ever since January 2018. So this is a macro change of behavior. I look at this as institutional order flow dynamics at play, where now all of those people looking for shorts within this region are no longer taking those positions, as verified by the price action crawling upwards and onwards. So with that in mind, we'll go down to the lower term time frames right here, and hey, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Right chart. All right, nice one. Going down to the lower term time frames right here, we can start to talk about, what's I fucking hate that word, expectation. It's really bad word as a trader. But what is the more likely thing on the lower term time frames first? Would we be looking for a pullback, maybe back down to that $12,000 base to retest, or would we look for continuation on the short term time frames to the next upside targets sooner rather than later? Well, let's see what we got right here. And actually, in these cases, I do think that it's better to be going on with CMEs, just as an aside, because after the weekend data, things typically look a little bit more strange. I'm sure that someone's going to be calling this a head and shoulders. It's not a head and shoulders at all whatsoever. Closing price right here, much lower than your right shoulder, so that's a big fucking no-no already. And what do we see as far as momentum oscillators go? We do see hidden bullish divergence being initiated right here. Now, to be fair, the easy part of that move has already happened. I'd say that this was confirmed on this one right here. So even hindsight trading it, still looking for a move from 13,000 where we are right now to about 13,150. That is decent for a 4 hour. But with the way that this is kind of situated right here, do I think that it's going to get a drive all the way back up to about 13.3? Yes, I do. Looking at 4 hour Stokes, what do we see? Looks like they do want to have a little bit of a crossy back up to the upside, protecting against getting out of the bullish control zone right here, but I would still look for that to be confirmed. And a lot of people are asking about this as well who are in the Joule. Is the 4 hour Joule sell signal on Bitcoin going to be relevant? No, I do not like these sell signals that happen over the weekend that are not accompanied by a CME sell signal as well. So I hope that I'm very clear in stating that, because anytime that I see something like this on a weekend, it's more so a warning signal to be looking for CMEs during the week to line up like that. And you know what? I actually do. Hey, get the fuck out of my face. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties once again. But looking at 4 hour 4 CMEs right here, I actually would be looking for it to pop back up and probably align for a perfect sell signal on CMEs. But that would imply that we actually have another drive to the upside first before playing out a greater pullback. So if I did have to call things right now, I would be looking for another drive to the upside, probably making new highs on this run, probably towards about 13,700-ish region before playing a greater pullback, at which point I would be looking for this to actually line up for a perfect sell signal. You'll see the same thing on spot price action here if you have access to the Joule, and that's likely where I'd be looking for the next medium term, maybe even probably not long term high, but medium term high. Like I said, long term high and macro high. I'm not going to be calling until we see that sort of signature on the weekly Bollinger Bands. I am damn thirsty right now, man, and apparently I am very much dry mouth right now too. So just uno momentum, my friends. Oh, so much better. So much better right there. Alrighty, so what else we got going on right here? Let's go back to CMEs and let's start working our way down through the lower term timeframes. And this can actually really kind of help smoothen out a lot of the the false alarm signals that you see on spot price action coming out of the weekend trading times. But what I'd expect to see if we're going to see 4-hour momentum turn back onto the upside is I'd want to see the 3-hour already turning. And guess what? We're seeing exactly that. Not just that, but we're also seeing it kind of, I guess it would be more so this trend line right here, getting the last few lows within this current consolidation going back to the 14th, which was coming out of this base right here and getting this low right here, and then this whole momentous drive the whole way through, once again testing this region, also the edge of the bullish control zone, and then boom, back up. So to me, this is, you know, very likely to make another move to the upside, probably not just retest the prior high officially at 13.3, but likely overtake it. Now, would I just blindly say that, you know, we're gonna work our way up to about 11.7 or whatever it ends up being? No, I'd like to see a closure. If I am looking on CMEs, the closure that I'd be looking for is somewhere right around here at about 13.2. And if I'm looking at spot price action, it'd be the same thing as yesterday. 3-hour would be about 13,150-ish region for a closure above there. And then, yes, next move up towards, I think it was 13.5 target would be viable. As let's go back to our bit Mexican chart right here. Yeah, there we go. We can just do a nice, very easy measure move on this right now, and I imagine it's probably gonna be like, yeah, a little bit shy of actually the next fib target, which is right around 13,550-ish region. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a nice little liquid zone in this region, as we do have a major fib extension right here at the 1.414 from the last consolidation using 10,000 low and $12,000 high. And then we have the measure move based off of our current formation, which would be technically an ascending triangle going on right here. I mean, we do have those nice rising lows, and it has been right in the 21 as we spoke about yesterday. And I mean, I stand with what I said yesterday. I think that this is a bear trap, right? Or I think that was a bear trap that you saw on Saturday, just classic price action where it brings it above a resistance and slams it back down, just generating liquidity. I mean, that's how you generate liquidity in an upwards market, because there's not too many people shorting right now, at least not big institutional players that have like a shit ton of capital to just throw at the market. I'd imagine it's just, retail is kind of gambling to and fro. And that's not really going to be enough to move the market. So how do you move a market, or how do you generate liquidity in a market like this? You generate it from over leveraged longs. This is how you do it, and that's the beauty of having 100x in a game like this, which is absolutely unfucking necessary. By the way, there was a good discussion about this in the Discord the other day, and people asking me like, or kind of like people were concerned with a lot of the major exchanges, like the 100x, liquid, the 100x fucking, what do we call them? Bucket shop exchanges, kind of going underground, or, having litigations against them, whether it be the Chinese government or the American government, BitMEX and OKX, all that good stuff going on. And we were saying, well, yeah, I mean, this is kind of just clearing the road for more traditional and, I guess institutional venues like CMEs that we see. The infrastructure is being built up, but that also means you're probably going to get traditional leverage as well, which is not 100x, by the way. It's usually more around like 4x in my experience, and some brokers will be higher than other brokers, but yeah, and I expect that we'll probably see that over the next couple of years. I think that the days of these Wild West exchanges are numbered. If I had to guess, probably 2 years to 3 years at most, and maybe even within this next year, we do see a lot of them get washed out. It seems like the wheels of justice are turning right now. They are ever so slow, but they do turn, as the saying goes. Anyways, before I get more sidetracked by my own self, let's go down through all the lower term timeframes here and kind of confirm what we're seeing. We see the same thing on 3-hour RSI as well, holding to the bullish control zone. This is kind of what we spoke about yesterday as well. Constructive over the long period of time. I like this read right here. I'd be looking for this one to pop back up, actually. 3-hour historical volatility percentile, not much to make out of that. And so what do we see on the 2-hour right here? Yeah, already leading it in, and that you would expect that, obviously. It's just a lot of the time you don't see that, and also kind of running the same trend line right here too. So I do like that, and likely to give us a nice little pivot on, at the very least, the low term timeframes for what it's worth right now. Hourly, do we see basically the same thing? Yeah, we do. And during this whole time, by the way, the hourly historical volatility percentile has been essentially contracting since the high being put in right here at about 13 13,003. So what does that essentially tell us? It tells us that we're still it tells us what we already know, that we're consolidating right here. This is, we have not seen resolution just yet. To the upside, resolution would obviously be on CMEs about 13,200 and some odd change. For spot price action, about 13,150 on 4-hour and 3-hour and 2-hour. And to the downside, obviously we should talk about that as well. CME is going to be about 12.8 and spot going to be about 12.7, of which that is pretty much unchanged from yesterday. Now, of course, if we do start to break this rising trend line, which would be governing your higher lows on what would be an ascending triangle right here, would that be a warning signal? Would that be cause for concern? Yes, absolutely it would. And that's coming in around actually 13,000 right now. But I don't think that it's, I don't think that would be, or actually, sorry, no, that is a little bit too aggressive. It would be more so down around here at about 12,950. So $50 lower, but fair enough. It does matter on a time frame like this. Would that be a warning signal? Yes. Would that be a confirmation signal? No. Confirmation is below 12.7 to myself on basically any time frame, 1 through 4 hour, and then I'd be looking for moves back down to $12,000 base. Do I think that that's what's happening here? No. But if that's what happened, yes, my medium term bias for looking for a move to the downside of about almost $1,000 there would be initiated. So, and I would be looking at this more or less as a major opportunity as well. I need to be very adamant in saying I'm not bearish at all on the macro here. I could be good for a pullback to 12,000-ish region, but not like an actual reversal where this is all just fake out right now. At least that's not my main disposition as a trader, as a technical analyst, or sorry, as a person with opinions. I also don't think that that's what we're doing either. But we have seen obviously some pretty nasty fake outs, both the upside and the downside. And I suppose it could happen. There's always a chance. There's always a possibility. You never know in this day and age. But for right now, things more or less look fine. Judging on spot price action right now, again, the magical numbers for upside continuation, 4-hour, I would say is about 13,150. Been kind of playing around with 13,100 and 13,150. I think 13,150 just makes more sense when you look at all the other lower term time frames. We got 3-hour right here. Very obviously 13,150 is going to be the resolution point. By hourly, same thing, 13,150 as well. Yes, you could use this prior top right here, but I don't think that that's necessary. I would call a resolution above here, and hourly is going to be right around here as well at about actually more like 13.2 it looks like. So keeping all of that in mind, if I had to call it right now, I do think that Bitcoin does just float onwards and upwards here. Probably gets that next move up to about anywhere between about 13,550 to 13.7, and then I'd be looking for probably a greater pullback based upon that. And that actually does kind of make sense historically speaking, as when we do look at the weekly, you do see that all of the high wicks that we see in June of 2019 are kind of accumulated within that region between the upper 13,000s and, well, basically the upper 13,000. So there you go. So, when things get crazy, when Bitcoin gets volatile, yes, I do look for, major massive wicks like this. Absolutely. And that's kind of what I'd be looking for, or maybe to a lesser extent on lower term timeframes for Bitcoin around that region of the up to 13,000s. Probably be looking for some sideways and down action after that into the elections, and then we'll come back and see what it's looking like. But so far the run's been pretty fucking impressive. So I think it's also important to follow up on just our regular momentum oscillators over here, of which we see weekly Stoke still up and at them. I mean, holding into the bullish control zone pretty much valiantly. I really like that read right there. More importantly, I love the weekly RSI, extremely constructive throughout this whole period from 2019 to where we are right now, getting our first move back into the bullish control zone after getting a quick kickback in August of this year. This is a signature that typically stays within this region for a while. Yes, you'll see ebbs and flows. Yes, there will be downs, but those downs, I will have a bias to be a buyer there. And of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but well, that's all. That's what I have to say about that. Also, we got the monthly closure coming in 4 or 5 days. Yeah, pretty damn soon. And what do we see here on the monthly? Well, we're gonna have a chance to close on our second, maybe even first all-time high. We actually could close on new all-time highs on the monthly with any sort of a closure above about $14,000. It will happen. I don't think that we need to close on new all-time highs for this run to look like good. Anything basically above 12,000 looks phenomenal for continuation. But again, checking on the momentum oscillators, good. Checking in on monthly RSI. This is really fucking good right here, actually. So again, I'd like to see it confirmed, obviously, but yes, that could really start to make me one of the fucking Craig bulls, I guess, which I don't like to admit, but it's I mean. Can't hit a fucking chart like this, can't hit a chart like this. This is very constructive, extremely constructive, in fact. And this is, well, if I had to call it right now, man, I do think, and now, am I speaking to the TA nerds right now? Yeah, almost. It's about 20 minutes in. I listen, if you put a gun to my head and said, Krown, is this it right here? I'd say, yeah, probably yes. Now, when I say that, is this it on a fucking monthly, does that mean that is it today? No. Over like the next half year to a year, yes. This is what you'd be looking for like a long-term multi-year base, breaking out and doing something new. Bi-monthly, same thing, and we're closing that one at the end of this month as well, so keep that in mind. Quarterly is not gonna be closed, but I'm just curious what it looks like right here. Yeah, we actually could we'll have a chance to make new highs actually at the same price point in December, I believe it is. So yeah. Anyways, did we go over everything else? Let's go over the medium term timeframes. Haven't looked at these at all. 12-hour is looking like continuation right here. Yes, momentum oscillators are very fucking tired, but they can stay in there a little bit more. But I do think that they're kind of like wearing out their welcome a little bit within this region. Also, 12-hour RSI, same sort of thing as well. Will be making very likely some bearish divergence on this next run to the upside, but that also includes some new highs first. So if I had to call it right now, like I said, continuation of the upside first, upper 13s we'll call it, and then I'd be looking for a greater pullback and probably a little bit of boring times in Bitcoin. You know how it is. It's usually like a couple weeks of training action, then a couple weeks or a couple months of sideways. It's all good, man. Anyways, okay, so I think I've beaten the Bitcoin horse to death. Or do you want to look at the daily too? Looks okay. CME daily looks a lot better, actually. Daily RSI kind of tells a story right here. What about 2-day? Same thing, continuation on CMEs. What about 3-day? Continuation. I mean, this is all fine. Same thing with 3-day on spot price action and 2-day on spot price action. A little bit less impressive, but this one won't close until tonight, I believe it is. Yeah, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'd like to see that one first. But yeah, at the end of the day, most of the stuff kind of just playing with each other, and I do think that it is important to reflect upon this on the 12-hour again. 12-hour historical volatility percentile is still expanding as long as we're above this moving average on it. As long as it has a positive slope, I do look at that as in the process of expanding, and in this case, that would equate to trend continuation in the direction of the upside. By the way, word on the street is Caretaker has some very interesting tools coming up soon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I'm pretty damn excited about that. So for the TA nerds listening until right now, he's got some cool stuff, I think, in store. What else we got? Ooh, what's this? Dixie rallying in the early morning hours. Uh-oh. Well, we'll come back and look at that on forex video. Let's go check out Nasdaq. What do we see on Nasdaq opening up? Pre-market stuff I'm not too big on. Like before the actual trading week begins, on Sunday essentially, which is what it is right now for the Americans. I am very split on traditional markets. If I had to call it right now, if you put a gun to my head and said, Krown, call this right now, I would be looking for a greater pullback, actually back down to the $11,100 region over the next week or two. How much, would I be trading for that right now? Probably not. What about SPY futures? SPY futures look a lot more obviously angled to the downside. Short term, looking for a move towards 3,400-ish region. Yeah, daily looks like it wants some down as well. And weekly, yeah, same sort of thing here too. Could likely plays in a range between where we're at right now and about 3320-ish region. And this is very much par for the course in traditional markets leading up to an election week as well. You usually see a little bit of sideways and down into election week, like the couple weeks precipitating it. And then after the election is kind of decided, whichever candidate is perceived as better for the market. In this case, that would be Trump. I'm not making a political statement right here. Just we're talking perceptions. I think that it would be very hard to find people. I know that like people think, no, Biden's going to be better for the. No, he's not going to be better for the market. Just stop. It's just this is just look at his fucking taxing plan and everything like that. I'm not a political person. I'm not even saying that he's a bad guy. I don't support either of these two people at all. But if we're talking about strictly with the market, no, his plan is going to not really help the current situation as far as stock market goes. Now, of course, opinions on that is going to vary, but I'm just specifically speaking towards charts right now. So before I incite some sort of like massive fucking mob, because anytime that you say anything political about any of the candidates, whether it be positive or negative, you got people just completely misinterpreting or just, it's not that people even misinterpret, they're not even living in the same reality. What I think is happening is they're living in a different reality, and then they're just filtering in selective hearing of what they want to hear. And I definitely know a few people like that, and it's very difficult to have a conversation with them. It's very difficult to speak to them in any sort of a normal tone, and you might even know some yourself. So yeah, if I did have call things right now on traditional markets, I probably would be looking for some downside, but I don't feel all that confident on it except for SPY futures. I do look for short-term downside here, back down to about 3,400 base, and that likely brings NAS down as well. Forex we'll talk about later, so I think that's probably it for now, except maybe we check out Link. Let's go check out some Linky USDEs. We're looking for some upside action on this one yesterday, of which did we get it? We got our $13 target. Yes. Now what? Do we play it a pullback first, back down to about 11.5, or continuation up to I think it was like 14 or 15 bucks. Looking at the weekly right here, I'm looking for further upside continuation. I don't have an opinion on the short term whether it pulls back first or not. Weekly though is looking good here. Weekly Stokes probably going to cross back onto the upside. Yes. Weekly RSI bullish, hidden bullish divergence. I'm looking for this one to pop back up probably towards 14 or 15 bucks over the next couple weeks. What about Mr. Butyrol? What do we see here? Lower term time frame. Oh, well, sorry. Let's just look at the weekly. The weekly's good. Okay. Again, could it have a pullback back down to like 395, maybe even 390? Possibly yes, but I look at that as an opportunity. This one, I'd be looking for a two-try move towards about 435 to 440 this week. Maybe next week. Speaking of the lower term timeframes, is this a nice little flag formation? Yeah, it is. It's fucking bull flags. And sorry, it's really fucking fun to do. Try it yourself. Would be pointing up a short term move if it does get the upside resolution towards about, what is this, 425, 426 region, with any sort of a 4-hour total closure above 415. So I do like that move right there, and probably does extend into the weekly. And realistically, base similar to about 12.7 on Bitcoin would be 400 even, and upside resolution similar to Bitcoin above 13,150 would be similar to 415 on a 4-hour total closure right there. So I think that's a good place for me to start to wrap this bitch up on Bitcoin. Again, 4-hour, 3-hour, 2-hour, all above 13,150 would all good enough for me to target a move towards about 13,550 to, let's just call it 13.6 to 13.7, just easier to say. And to the downside, short-term warning signals below 12,950, but that's not going to get it done by itself. The actual warning signal for a medium-term time frame trade, at least down towards $12,000 base, is below 12.7. So for right now, things look a little more angled towards the upside short term. And with that said, I like to wish you the best. I'd like to wish you the happiest. I'll be back on later with some more forex analysis and maybe a little bit of a Bitcoin re-up. And with that said, take care, and until next time.